A very important video here. This is everything that I've warned of for years now. The digital dollar. This is going to be based on blockchain. Years ago in 2017, I put out a video talking about the beast blockchain. What would happen once we got to this point where they can convert dollars over to a digital currency flat out to where they can connect it to the blockchain. That is the big difference. The blockchain. Some people could say, oh, everything's digital anyway. We've already got a credit card. Everything's in the bank. Not that kind of digital. The digital connected to blockchain, where they can track every single transaction on the planet. Everyone. Doing away with fiat currency. There's no more hiding money under your mattress. There's no more hiding money in your safe. Everything will be digitized. They will track every single transaction, including you, on the blockchain. That is the warning. It's been out there for years now. Here we are in a situation with this whole coronavirus crap to where it ushers in another thing to their advantage. This, the digitized dollar. It was one thing to say, oh, they're clamping down people everywhere. Freedoms are being stripped and all these other things. Vaccine coming down the pipeline. A dream come true for them. But now you add this into the mix. It's truly everything they've ever wanted. Now, what they're looking to do here with the creation of the digital dollar is to establish a digital dollar wallet. And what will send shockwaves through the cryptocurrency and blockchain industry, they're saying, this is pretty wild. The whole idea here is to make sure that everyone can get this digital downloadable wallet so that they can get their money from the government. Now, you're probably scratching your head like, what? Why don't they just send it to me and email it to me? Well, here's why. This is the whole excuse for all of this. They are stating that per their data, there are unbanked and underbanked people out there across the country. And they say that per this FDIC report, going back to the same year I warned you about this, 2017, they identified 63 million people that are unbanked or underbanked in the United States. That's what they are saying. If checks are the form of payment, the stimulus is not going to reach many of them, is what they state. How is that? Every single person that even has food stamps or anything else like that out there has to go through a process of showing where they live, the address, a mailbox, and all this other stuff. They can still get the check and cash it if it's made out to them and they have the proper ID and they know this. But they're saying that the checks are just going to disappear for 63 million people. They're not going to get it. And the only way to assure that they're going to get it is to make sure that they've got this digital wallet on their cell phone. So for people that say, oh, what about the poor folks and the homeless folks that don't have an address? Well, how come they've got a cell phone if they don't have somewhere to live? Where's the priorities in all this? And I'm telling you, this is the cheapest excuse I've ever seen to do away with the fiat. They're not even talking about fiat. They're talking about writing checks and that it's not going to get to everyone and that the answer is the digitized dollar. Warned you over and over. I've warned you over and over on all my live streams for the past 2 months where Jerome Powell and all them were taking this. I've talked about this digital dollar left and right. We've warned about it more than anyone that I've seen out there for years now. Now it's here. They're looking to implement this, so I'm sure it's going to be rolled out in stages. But they didn't just come up with this out of nowhere. This had to have been talked about for a long time as part of the plan. I'm telling you, it was. Ever since 2017, when I put out my first video talking about the beast blockchain, I've been warning about the potential of them rolling out a system globally that will use a digitized dollar that will track literally everything. All the money you make, everything that you buy, every transaction that you conduct, everything will be tracked on blockchain. And with that, your privacy would go out the window. This is happening. They were talking about this in the very first stimulus bill. I put the word out. Since they didn't keep it in there, people were like, oh, it's not going to happen. and all this other stuff, just because they simply pulled it out of the first one. But they had admitted that it was tucked into other bills, and other people were saying, oh, they pulled it back shortly, but it's coming. It just wasn't time right then. Well, here we go. NetSense declares readiness for the expected U.S. Federal Reserve digital dollar. And NetSense Technology, Inc. basically is a disruptive cryptocurrency payments company. And they're saying that they are pleased to announce that they have completed internally designated preparations for the expected U.S. government-backed cryptocurrency dubbed the Central Bank Digital Currency, the CBDC. They are stating that because so many people are unbanked around the world, that this is going to be rolled out, and this goes beyond the United States. This is a world thing. They go on to cite here other countries in a project called New Dawn that is being rolled out to bring this digital wallet to the what they call millions of people around the planet, the poor people that don't have bank accounts. They want to have a way to get money to them. So they're going to create these digital wallets all over the place. And a lot of the argument here is if people can't afford a bank account or don't have a bank account or can't afford this or that, how are they going to afford the electronics to be able to even access these digital wallets? All kinds of questions fly, but you get no answers. All we know for sure is that they are pushing the digital dollar full throttle. It's coming in one of the next stimulus bills in a form of being able to get the money to the people. And they exposed this in the very first one. So all of this is stacking up. Now we have other businesses that seem to be involved in this behind the curtain speaking out and saying, hey, we're ready to rock, and this is where it's going. So the writing's on the wall. Just a matter of time now before this will become official and they roll this out full scale. We have millions of Americans that have lost their jobs due to everything connected with this COVID thing that's going on. Many of those that are still working have seen their hours and income reduced. Now, it depends on where you sit. In some situations, things got so bad back in March that lawmakers had to pass the $2 trillion CARES Act, which in that, they gave out a one-time $1,200 stimulus payment for each eligible U.S. adult, plus an additional $500 per child for every child that was under the age of 17. A lot of that is come and gone. Now they're bringing up the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act is a $3 trillion bill. It is even more robust, and they say in this that the adults will too get $1,200, but the children will get $1,200 as well. This will make it a little heftier. They're saying that some families could see a $6,000 check if the HEROES Act is voted into law. It may not, though, if the Republicans shoot it down. Somewhere along the lines, though, just like the first time, it seems they're going to have a deal to do something. And as we said before, the billionaires of this world increased their wealth $500 billion while everyone else is losing everything. You don't need to say much more than what I did just there to see where it all went. So stick your head back in the sand and act like it never happened. Or put your eyes on the ones that took it from you and quit making excuses. Because they're about to cut you another little $1,200 check after they took $500 billion. And they're going to keep on pushing. And they're going to say, get back to work with whatever jobs you can find. Right? Because they've decimated all the small businesses, while Amazon was allowed to keep its doors open and keep on pushing. How's that? We are rushing full steam ahead toward a cashless society, which is exactly what is happening right now in real time. This is exactly what we've been warning about for years. I put out a video years ago called The Beast Blockchain. I seen where this was going. I warned and I warned. Fast forward to here, we're on the cusp of one big move that is going to shift this whole thing into digital. I believe it's just one of the phases in this whole thing that we're going through right now. And you may have heard that many of the places are having coin shortages. And it's not just the coin shortage. They're not allowing the use of cash at the same time. So it's not just that they're not getting coins back at this self-checkout at Walmart. You cannot use cash, period, even if it's an exact amount, which raises questions. Then we look at places like Pizza Hut here, right on the glass, right there on the window. We've gone cashless. Here we are. So you know this is where it sits. It's only going to continue. And I'm going to continue to warn you that if you think it's bad getting into a store with a mask now, next year you won't be able to enter those stores without your COVID pass. You remember where this is going. I'll ride to the end against this beast. We now have the price of gold soaring, breaking $2,000 an ounce and breaking a record. Since the start of the year, there was an uptick, and it has never stopped. It has gone sky high when you look at the charts. You can see right here on the futures where it sits. One could say that at this point, it's due for some bit of a pullback, a rounding over, but they continue to say it's going to go higher. $3,000 next. And depending on the climate and just how bad things get, well, that is a possibility. I mean, at this point, they're controlling all aspects of everything. They're printing the money that's not backed by any gold. Therefore, they can make as much of it as they want, right? And the gold itself, that used to back the currency, well, they came through and repatriated that in the history of this country, if you forgot or if you don't know. And they could do it again. I put nothing past these people to charge all this money sky high on gold and then turn around and hand this thing off to a new system in the offing, all digitized on blockchain, to crush the dollar, the fiat dollar as you know it. And then what? Say they're going to back this new digital currency with gold? Then what happens if they say everyone's got to turn their gold in? And don't act like it can't happen, because it's already happened in this country. Some interesting times that we're in. I would suggest if you have anything that you've purchased, you're not holding it on a market. You're not holding it in someone else's vault. If you're going to have gold, you better have that in hand. For decades now, is losing its power. This is slowly happening. The slow death of the dollar. On the other side of this is the Chinese currency that is rising. I've been warning about this over and over, but since it's unraveling slowly, it's not as shocking to some that we're all expecting this to come crashing down like yesterday to destroy the dollar. So they're milking this out. And there's a handoff happening here globally, whether you want to see it or admit it. The whole world states the United States is past its peak and that China is now the rising power. Your allied Canada and their leadership see them as that. Other alleged allies of ours see China as the economic world power right now. Australia. So where does that leave us? It leaves us on the wrong end of the stick, if you ask me. But what's about to happen is there's going to be a push. There's going to be a push by the Chinese. And it starts with dumping all the debt and all the bonds that they were holding of the U.S. So this has happened. This has begun. This is eerily reminiscent to what was happening between the United States and Russia for decades. And now it's happening with China. The problem is when this was happening between the United States and Russia, we were a rising power. Now the tables have turned, and that's what they keep pointing out here. That this is a Cold War, so to speak, that no one wants to call it. But China is the rising power, they say. And when they look at the world, they say that China is one of the world's biggest creditor nations. It has a vast pool of savings. The U.S. is the world's single largest debtor nation, with record high government debt, consumer debt, on and on. This year alone, the federal government will likely increase its national debt by $5 trillion. More importantly, as we've discussed several times over the past few weeks, economic sustainability and prosperity are no longer priorities in the United States. It seems like the governments at local, state, and federal levels are all full of Bolshevik politicians that have sold us out. Many of them making backdoor deals with the Chinese. And I feel like the whole trade war was a farce. This is all by design, guys, to tear us apart. The Rothschilds have been inside of China since the days of Mao. Henry Kissinger is very good friends with Xi Jinping. You need to see we are getting played on this world stage, and a handoff is happening right in front of your face. And it's not just going to be a handoff to China. It's going to be a handoff to a whole new digitized system that China has prepared, has been preparing, and is about to launch. And when they launch this full scale, what this means is that they will build their own financial system that will compete and eventually overcome the United States power. It would essentially take the global reserve market share away from the US dollar. Even a small portion would have a huge impact. A smaller share of global reserves would mean that the US could no longer get away with printing trillions of dollars and piling up endless mountains of debt. There would then be less demand for US bonds and the dollar, and it would weaken, and then it would cause serious inflation. So the conflict with China here on this world stage, by design, if you ask me, is the single largest threat to bringing down this thing. Without a cyber attack, an EMP attack, any kind of craziness, just keep on trucking along here, and it's the slow motion death of the dollar, day by day. I want to speak a little bit about a cashless society. This is something we've talked about for many years. Putting a warning out there of where this could go. Many people not heeding any of the warning signs until it directly affects them. Well, now, with everything happening in our daily lives, people are starting to take notice that there's something going on here globally. That all these world leaders and countries seem to be implementing something hand in hand. When you start to see this and see that at the same time, our almighty dollar is collapsing in terms of its power, and by design, and admittingly so, by the powers that be, that are printing off this money that has no backing. They took the gold backing away a long time ago. But the problem with the cashless society is it takes away pretty much all of your privacy. It will introduce a new way of life that many are not going to be happy with. In my opinion, one of the ways they're going to get people to go into this is throughout a series of events and ultimately a forgiveness of debt for those that comply. So let's take a look at some of the things that can happen here in terms of your daily life. Just real quick, in terms of things that you would have to pay taxes on from here on out. And this is where it gets crazy. Gifts that you start to get from people. Everything will be tracked. You can no longer get a $20 bill from grandpa or whoever to go spend at the store. It will not be private. It will be tracked. It will be traceable. And it will be taxed. What happens with the lesson of giving children money to spend, to learn the value of spending that money on certain things and saving up to get things and things like that? Well, this kind of stifles all that because you won't have any fiat cash in hand. You will then be turned over to credit card use that will all be tracked on the blockchain. So, what about people that like to make money on the side? How about people that go and that flip things on Facebook? How about all those people that like to go and get stuff from like Walmart or other places get the skids full of stuff and you break it down and people are selling it and all that stuff. That's about to end. What about all the people that like to buy electronics off of Facebook or buy anything and sell it for a profit? That's about to end. They're going to track it all. They're going to tax it all. And this is what the average lemming doesn't see coming around the corner. So, at the lemonade stand, if you would have made $20, say, well, now it's going to be $15 after taxes. The same with mowing a lawn for $20. Everything will be tracked. There's going to be no privacy. There's going to be no safe to put money in. You can't put it under your mattress. They're going to know everything, every dime you make and where you spend it. What about that bag of whatever you got off your buddy after work? All those things? Yeah. Selling secondhand goods will all be tracked. The tipping industry is going to get wiped out. It's going to have to be rescaled, or they're by design going to knock it out. Because all the people that had to survive off of $2 an hour wage and the tips on top of it, well, now all those tips will be tracked and taxed as well. And one of the excuses they're going to have in this country is the unbanked or the underbanked. And Pelosi gave her hand away with this last stimulus check. They were literally talking about rolling out a new digital currency, blockchain type of card that they could get into the hands of all Americans, saying that many of them out there are unbanked and underbanked. And do you think they really care about that? They don't. It's about control. So this is a power grab, okay? And I want you to know that there's going to be no more privacy in the future. There's going to be no more hiding the money, like I said, no more transactions. This will, in my opinion, create an underground market, which is, it's probably already in motion. I know it is. Anyone that doesn't want to have to deal with this and wants privacy, this is what the beast is putting into motion. Now, you take it a step further. If you do not get the mark down the road, that's right, that Luciferus that they can detect and track your biometrics on and all your immunity on and all your records. If you don't have that, you won't get nothing. Because when this all goes to a cashless society, they can then cut off your account. You break the law, you do anything, you step out of line, they can just take your money in a heartbeat, cut you off. You can't have anything saved up anywhere to counter it because it will be outlawed. They are taking the coins away from this country in an unprecedented move right in front of your face. It has begun. They have installed crypto wallets or given the ability to every bank in the nation to install crypto wallets. I'm warning you. After a series of events down the road, this power grab is going to go into motion. They're going to collapse everything by design. Your fiat will be worthless. It will go away, and this new system is going to roll in. The writing's on the wall. And come Thursday at 9 a.m., we have Powell talking about inflation. And for some people, they may not understand that. But if this guy says that this is going to go on, and inflation is going to rise on our dollar, and it's going to weaken the buying power of it, people are going to dive into other assets like precious metals and cryptos and everything else. And it could cause them to skyrocket. Once again, all by design, and they would already have all their ducks in a row ready for the rocket ride. I'm warning you, coming in the offing may be the greatest transfer of wealth that's ever been seen, but it's going to be into their hands. On this blockchain. I've got 2 videos out on it called the Beast Blockchain if you want to get educated on what's happening on my channel, Dabu77. I want to go over and discuss what's going on with this Banking for All Act, this S3571 that was introduced this year by Sherrod Brown out of Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown. He put this out there as all this was going on with the coronavirus, and many people missed what was happening here. Now, one of the main things with this is that they were citing this setup for getting payments out to everybody for a stimulus check or for coronavirus-related stuff. They even stated in the bill. Now, one thing that I find odd in this bill is that for something that's supposed to be dealing with things sent to someone digitally, that means it's through the airwaves, nothing physical, but yet they bring up the U.S. Postal Service in this bill. Now, this has been introduced. It still has to go before the Senate and all this stuff, and it's due to do that here coming up into this next year. This is something I believe they could just pass right along, step by step, as the people are not paying attention, and they're not going to realize what's happening here. Now, there's already been a green light for banks across the country, if they so choose, to open up a certain kind of digital wallet or ledger for people, if they want to go that route. Sherrod Brown out of Ohio is introducing this, basically trying to mandate this, not just giving an option that you can or you can't, but trying to mandate that every single bank has to set up digital wallets for everyone. The excuse, as Nancy Pelosi was saying, is that there are X amount of people out there that are unbanked, and they wouldn't be able to receive the stimulus even if we tried to get it to them, like they care. But this is all in propping up where this is going. I told you, they're getting all their ducks in a row, and a huge shift is coming in the offing. Some could say we're already digital. It's not that kind of digital. I keep telling everyone, this is blockchain digital. A whole different animal and ball game, where every single thing is tracked, that you can't erase, you can't manipulate it, you can't do nothing. It's in the blockchain embedded. All your transactions will be there. All your everything, every penny you earn from work is going to be put there. Everything you purchase is going to be put there. Your privacy, gone. I've warned about this in separate videos called the Beast Blockchain on this channel. Just did an update this year. The first one was from 2017 because I saw it all coming, and here we are, literally, on the doorstep of this massive change. The Fed is making a very interesting move here. We often talk about the dollar, the possible death of the dollar, and we've talked about blockchain technology and digital currencies in extreme depth. Well, here we now have the Fed talking about rolling out a new form of getting cash to people, and this is very similar to what Nancy Pelosi was hinting at the last time they sent out stimulus checks. When they sent out the stimulus checks, they said that they could not reach a bunch of Americans, saying that they were unbanked. When they made this statement, they had shown draft paperwork on where this was all going, that they were going to set up a digital wallet and a currency to be able to get people this money. Now, they're saying that this next time it's going to be just that. We have two different individuals here, well, former Fed officials. Simon Potter, who led the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's market group. And then we have Julia Coronado, who spent 8 years as an economist for the Fed's Board of Governors. They are among the people that are coming up with these new ideas to make all this happen. Now, these two propose creating a monetary tool that they call recession insurance bonds, which draws on some of the advances in digital payments, which will be wired instantly to Americans. They say that Congress would grant the Federal Reserve an additional tool for providing support, say a percentage of GDP or something in a lump sum. That would then be divided equally and distributed to households during the recession. The recession insurance bonds would be a zero coupon security, and it would be an asset. The Fed would then activate the securities and deposit the funds digitally in household apps. Now, what they're saying here is this is going to cut out the traditional bank all in all when it's all said and done. This is what most people are not seeing. But to get there, they're walking it in this direction. They have now allowed all the banks to carry digital wallets to get this ball rolling. It's now legal. It's 100%. And the feds are basically saying here, this is the direction that we are taking it. This is the end game for all of this. Digitizing the dollar. A very important video here. Things are changing rapidly out there. And what we have now is some well-timed releases of information through the mainstream. Now, we've got to look at this for what it is. First off, this is something we've warned about for years. I initially dropped the Beast blockchain video back in 2017, warning where this was going to go when this got on blockchain. You won't be able to hide your money under your mattress. In a safe, you won't be able to hide it at all. They will know every move. So all of a sudden, throughout everything we've been living through in 2020, they started to take back the coins. They never made no huge announcements saying why. But they said, we're going to take back the coins. It's what started happening everywhere, and they're not giving them back at all. Also, your normal penny right now is worth way more than the 1 cent value on the market than what it's being used for. Not to mention, silver is starting to tick up, and it's going to explode, and when it does, all this currency, all these metals that are floating around out there across the country, copper and silver, they're going to be worth something, and people will be cashing them in to get the value out of it. Well, guess what? Your government's one step ahead of you. They're just going ahead and taking it beforehand before they say anything about it. This is huge. And what we said when they started taking back the coin is that you wait till the fiat goes. They're taking your coinage now and not giving it back. You just wait till the fiat comes. And everyone's always been talking about the death of the dollar, and rightfully so, trying to get a bead on what's going to happen. But what we're seeing here is about to be the death of fiat. Do you understand this? Let this sink in. Not just the US dollar. You're talking fiat currency globally is about to get wiped out. This is a huge move. Huge. And they're not saying a word about it? Of course not. The way that they're playing this is so slick and so smooth. All the lemmings out there in society aren't even asking any questions. It's like boiling the frog. It's happening in such slow motion that it's working to their advantage, and the people don't even realize what's going on. So, not only is this about to happen en masse, they're saying that the use case for cash is plunging. And that's all they got to do is control the narrative, control the headlines, and say this and that, and they'll push it, and the lemmings will accept it. So your biggest enemy is all the lemmings around you accepting what the totalitarians are enforcing on us all. You realize that, don't you? This is why we fought this fight all these years, to wake as many people up as possible, because that's where it's at. The power is in your numbers. Power is in the people, in the politics that they address. So, a heads up here for what's happening in slow motion right now, and I would prepare. I would hedge your bets, and I would get ready for a huge transition. It would be the biggest of our lifetimes. And the removal of this fiat, like I said, is going to be global. One of the biggest and most unprecedented moves in history is happening right in front of your face, as they are taking away coins and soon to be fiat. And in the midst of it, they are introducing all of these different places and designs that go along with this futuristic way that they want things to be like. All along showing you, if you have the eyes to see, the cash and life as you know it is about to change forever. Now, a lot of this concept is being drawn off of ideas that came from Amazon, is what they're saying. These Amazon Go-like stores. Now we have MasterCard stepping up, saying that they are increasing their efforts to create more of these cashierless stores, unveiling a platform that it calls Shop Anywhere. They're teamed up with a retail tech company called Acel Robotics, which has created a bunch of these different setups here. And what this is allowing is for people to walk in, check in at the kiosk, go in, grab whatever you want, and as you're walking out, it already knows who you are. So it has your account information, and it deducts from it as you exit with that item. Now, this is being rolled out in stadiums, in gas stations, across the country. There is no change being given back, obviously. We already know what's happening there in an unprecedented move. They're taking all the coins away from everyone, and they're not giving them back. And all the lemmings seem to be missing the writing on the wall that the biggest shift of our lifetime is coming right around the corner. So where else are these? How about places like your Dunkin' Donuts? How about right out at the gas station, grab and go, as you can see here at the kiosk? You're going to see a lot more of these. No cash being used. No coinage, no nothing. It'd be the use of a card. And this is where it will all be transferred over to digital blockchain in a blink of an eye in the offing. Touch-free payments. You don't even have to touch the screen. It sees you. It's scanning your face, as I've shown in other videos. Pay with your face in California is what I just covered in another video, and it ties right into this. Thus far, see, they're scanning the face because you don't have the in-game piece yet. You don't have the chip, the mark, what will be scanned for everything. And I'm telling you, the technology will be set up for this as well. That's what you need to be watching for along the way. When they have these certain scanners that start popping up in different places, and you're like, what does that scan for? And it doesn't scan the credit card. It's not scanning your face, and you can't figure out what it's there to scan for. It's there to scan for that mark. Those that have the eyes to see can see. So this is coming to Dunkin' Donuts. This is coming into all their different places. Circle K's. Gas stations. It has begun. Right around you. The writing is on the wall. The biggest shift ever is about to take place. Global scale. All of the earmarks are right there for you, sitting on the table, telling you where this is going. If you do not prepare, I don't know what to tell you. You can go off to some other video, some other headline, some whatever. There's really nothing more important than the collapse of the society that we know right now and the one that they're trying to install right in front of your face. And they're doing it through occult black magic in slow motion. So slow that it works great for them. The frog doesn't even know it's getting cooked. That's slow.